The movie kicks off with Steve's voice pulling us into a vivid memory from his childhood. Back then, his one and only dream was to work in the mines. To him, it wasn't just a job, it was destiny. But that dream quickly shattered. When he tried sneaking into the mines, a furious miner spotted him and barked at him to get lost. Heart pounding, crushed by fear and disappointment, young Steve turned and bolted, his dream slipping further away with every stride. Years pass. Now grown, Steve steps onto a stage for the biggest singing performance of his life. But as he sings, it's obvious. The judges aren't buying it. He walks off, deflated. In a voiceover, he confesses, even now he can't shake the dream of the mines. So he grabs a pickaxe and helmet and heads deep underground. Down there, buried in the dark, he discovers two mysterious artifacts. The moment he connects them, bam, he's transported to the overworld, a magical realm where imagination shapes reality. In this fantastical land, he doesn't just build a home, he builds three. And while kicking back in the third one, a snarling wolf named Dennis shows up. Thinking fast, Steve tosses him an old crusty femur. Like magic, Dennis becomes his loyal sidekick. From that moment on, they build together, turning the dreamland into Steve's personal paradise. One day, while out exploring, Steve finds a strange portal. Without hesitation, Dennis dives in, and Steve follows. On the other side, they land in a shadowy dimension ruled by piglins. This is the kingdom of Malgosia, a powerful, bitter piglin who once had dreams of being a performer. But after her father and the other piglins crushed those dreams, she turned dark. Malgosia snatches the magical orb from Steve and locks him in a prison, planning to harness its power to cast eternal darkness over the overworld, because piglins can't survive in the light. Just in time, Dennis charges in, breaks Steve out, and steals the orb back. Steve hands the orb to Dennis, telling him to flee to the real world and hide it. Dennis bolts to reality and stashes the orb under Steve's bed. Meanwhile, Steve is recaptured by Malgosia. Fast forward to present day. Enter Garrett, once a video game champ, now running a cluttered shop filled with retro treasures. But Garrett's stuck, trapped in memories of glory days, and now he's on the verge of eviction. Desperate for a win, he heads to a storage auction hosted by his buddy Daryl, hoping to score an ultra-rare Atari Cosmos console that could change his fate. But when he cracks open the storage unit, he finds nothing but a strange orb and a glowing crystal. Frustrated and heartbroken, he snaps, melting down in front of everyone. Cut to Natalie, a young woman who's just moved to the sleepy town of Chulis, Idaho, with her teenage brother Henry, after their mom's passing. Natalie lands a job at the local potato chip factory, managing their social media, while Henry starts school. On Henry's first day, Natalie makes her signature potato breakfast pizza to give him a boost. On his walk to school, Henry stops by Garrett's shop. Garrett asks if he's looking for anything specific. Henry shrugs, just browsing. Garrett hands him a flyer for a mentoring program for those who want to win at the game of life. Henry nods and moves on. At school, Henry meets the eccentric vice principal, Marlene, then heads to class and proudly unveils a jetpack model he built himself. But chaos erupts. Two bullies sneak up and snip a wire, sending the jetpack spinning wildly. It crashes straight into the potato chip factory where Natalie works. Henry's hauled to the principal's office, where Marlene sternly tells him he's done an extremely terrible job and accuses him of crashing the jetpack into the backbone of America's snack economy. Henry apologizes. It was just an accident. But the principal insists he bring a guardian in. Panicked, Henry calls Garrett, the only adult he'd spoken to that day. Garrett agrees to help and shows up at school pretending to be Henry's uncle. Marlene immediately starts flirting with him. As Garrett walks away, he smirks and says, "Whoever divorced her is a complete idiot." He takes Henry back to the shop. There, they rediscover the orb and crystal, along with a note from Steve, warning not to use them for selfish reasons because danger's coming. Ignoring the message, Henry fits the orb into the crystal. Instantly, it begins pulling both him and Garrett toward the mines. Meanwhile, Natalie, unable to reach Henry, calls Dawn, the real estate agent who sold them their house and also happens to run a mobile petting zoo. Natalie tells her Henry's not answering and may be missing. Dawn casually drops the bombshell that Henry crashed into the potato chip company and is now somewhere in a mine shaft. The two race to the mines. Inside the mine, Garrett and Henry find themselves watched by none other than Dennis. Moments later, Natalie and Dawn arrive and demand answers, starting with who exactly Garrett really is. Henry tells the vice principal that Garrett is his mentor. Just then, the crystal starts to glow, reacting wildly to the portal. Suddenly, it bursts open, and in a flash they're all sucked inside. The world flips upside down, and the group finds themselves in the vibrant, jaw-dropping landscape of the overworld. Meanwhile, deep in the dark dimension, Malgosia and the piglins sense the orb has returned. Wasting no time, Malgosia visits Steve, who's still being held captive. She frees him, but it's not a kindness. She demands he retrieve the orb, threatening that if he tries anything stupid, she'll kill Dennis. Back in the overworld, the group is awestruck by the beauty around them. But the wonder doesn't last long. As night falls, the skies darken and the mood shifts. Suddenly, a wave of skeletons and zombies emerges from the shadows, attacking them. Thinking fast, Henry uses his knowledge of the world to quickly build a fortress, helping the group climb to safety. Just in time, Steve shows up and joins the battle, fighting alongside them. But in the chaos, Garrett accidentally smashes the Earth crystal, their only way back home. As the sun rises, the remaining monsters burn away in the daylight. Steve explains that there's still a way to replace the Earth crystal, but it won't be easy. They'll need to find a hidden woodland mansion. With no better option, the group begins their journey. Steve takes the lead, guiding them through the wonders of the overworld. They visit a peaceful village filled with kind, quirky residents, and Steve shows them how easy it is to create and build in this world. But trouble soon arrives. Piglins, led by the ruthless General Chungus, attack the village. In the chaos, the group gets split up. Steve, Garrett, and Henry escape, while Natalie and Dawn are left behind. Refusing to panic, the women team up and take down Piglins together, showing surprising strength and teamwork. After the dust settles, they come across Dennis. Though he can't speak, he uses gestures to help them track down the others. Elsewhere, General Chungus returns to Malgosia, only to be met with her fury. He's failed to eliminate the heroes, and she makes him pay for it. In a brutal act of revenge, she executes him. To finish the job, she unleashes her monstrous creation, the Great Hog. Meanwhile, Steve, Garrett, and Henry hide out in a cave. Garrett urges Steve to show him where the true riches of the overworld lie. Steve reluctantly takes him to the diamond mines, but Henry is disturbed by Garrett's growing obsession with treasure. As they search, the Great Hog finds them. The beast charges and the group escapes on a minecart, dodging attacks while using creepers to trigger explosions. The final blast sends the Great Hog flying, blowing it to bits and allowing the trio to escape. Back in the real world, one of the overworld villagers, Nitwit, accidentally stumbles through the portal and ends up getting hit by Marlene's car. Though he doesn't speak English, she brings him home. Over dinner, something surprising happens. Marlene starts to fall for him. Meanwhile, Steve, Garrett, and Henry arrive at the Woodland Mansion. They split up to create a distraction while Henry searches for the Earth crystal. Steve distracts enemies by belting out a song, while Garrett puts on an impressive dance performance. While searching, Henry encounters an Enderman, a terrifying, teleporting creature. The Enderman uses illusions to mess with his mind, making him see his friends saying cruel things. But Henry pushes through the mental attack and defeats the creature with his sword. As a reward, he earns an Ender Pearl, a powerful item that lets him teleport. Just as they regroup, Malgosia and her army ambush the mansion. She snatches the orb once again, and all-out war erupts. Steve and Henry escape in a hot air balloon while Garrett stays behind, determined to give them a fighting chance. In a shocking twist, the Piglin's TNT supply explodes, taking out the bridge and seemingly killing Garrett. Steve and Henry are blown away by the blast and crash to the ground. They awaken to find they've been rescued. Dawn, Natalie, and Dennis have found them. The group mourns Garrett's sacrifice, but there's no time to grieve. Malgosia is using the orb to unleash waves of darkness, sending an army of monsters to overrun the overworld. The heroes rally the iron golems and prepare for battle. A massive showdown begins, swords clash, monsters roar, and the overworld trembles. Henry makes a bold move, racing up Malgosia's towering fortress to reclaim the orb. But just as he reaches the top, she fires a blast, sending him plummeting. At the last second, Garrett swoops in, alive, piloting the hot air balloon and catching Henry mid-fall. Together, they charge back toward the tower. In an epic final stand, they take it down and retrieve the orb. As the orb's light returns, the darkness fades. Monsters melt into dust. Malgosia tries one last attack on Steve, but this time, it's over. She's defeated for good. The portal home opens once more. The group prepares to return, but Steve hesitates. What's left for him in the real world? Natalie tells him, maybe it's not about what the world can give him, but what he can bring to it. With a smile, Steve steps through the portal with them. In the final narration, Steve reflects on how everything has changed since their journey. Garrett rebuilt his store and created a brand new arcade game, with Steve's help, which has become a hit among the kids. Dawn turned her petting zoo into a sensation by introducing overworld creatures like Dennis. Natalie started teaching a self-defense class for local kids, passing on everything she learned. And Henry? He fixed his jetpack and became the most popular kid in school. The crew reunites at Garrett's store for a joyful celebration, their bonds stronger than ever. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more amazing movie recaps.